Hello and welcome. My name is Lauren Hill with Alchemical Records, and this is Developing Content from Scratch. Uh, this is where I get together on a live to just hang out and to talk about content that I am developing with my team here at Alchemical Records. A little background: my as a musician is from the Washington D.C. area. I'd say it heavily influenced everything that I've written. Certainly, like my performance and my community. Um, and so I kind of grew up in that, in like playing local shows and expanding out and doing that. Nobody's I mean, very few people had heard of me. I'm not like a name brand of anything in terms of this massive Spotify hit, or um, been inducted into the work of Jesse Cannon in terms of being a master of being a musician as well as a mark, and he certainly tapped into that realm. My space is like music and music publishing, in the sense of writing about it, critiquing. Our readership for Alchemical Records is poised to hit 100,000 readers this year. uh, so it's definitely a different approach in being a writer, being in trying to develop a music news and entertainment platform, a blog, than it is to be an artist and to release singles on a cycle that's whose foundation is in Spotify algorithms. Uh, but I hope that you'll enjoy exploring this kind of world with me. I wanted to begin with just some recent news. I got together tonight with Kanzi, uh, and we did the world premiere of their music video for In the Ether. That is now available on site. You can go to, let me see if I can find it now that I've talked about it. You can go to alchemicalrecords.com, and in the watch section, you will find the article, which I will share. So you can watch the world premiere, the music video for In the Ether, and you can also hang out with me and the band. We had Sean, Garrett, Uli, and Forrest, and had a great time. Maybe we'll get caught up with Carly in the future. But check that out. They're a fantastic rock band from Austin, Texas, and I can't wait to share more music from them. Let's see what we want to dive into tonight. Besides the uh, event we had with Kanzi, I was able to hang out this week in the Washington D.C. area with Sam Arcade and Magfest. This is me here with CY in the courtyard here at the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington D.C., just next to Capital One Arena and Chinatown. Maybe you were there. Drop me a line. You may recognize me in a brightly colored shirt, this time not with a yellow tie on it. Let's see. We've got National Portrait Gallery, hanging out with some of the volunteers at the event. MagFest is a 501c3 local nonprofit. Music and gaming festival is what it is all about. And so we brought about 15 to 20 console games of various ages, throughout the ages, I should say, and set them up inside of the courtyard here. This year's theme was line, color, and form, and how they invoke a emotional response. About more of what the event was about, and maybe get in touch for next year. I dare not reveal what I know about the potential theme for next year, just because I'll leave that up to the American Art Museum for that. Let's see another news today. A little news. We've talked about Sam Arcade and we've talked about our live stream here. I think that last time we talked about um, organizing content for our timeline, developing content, and then scheduling content for distribution. Let's see. Speaking of, let's do our live stream URL here for our Patreon subscribers. Boop. Developing content from scratch. It's fun. Curricular activities. Did I spell that? Look at me go. It looks right. Call this Alchemical Online, and let's send it out now. Let's see. I meet all the requirements. Okay. I want to go now. How do I go now? That's funny. I thought we had it. There we go. I don't want to schedule it. I'm just going to do it. And it's done. All right. So with that accomplished, let's take a look at why that's important. I should have done it at the beginning, of course, but we give ourselves a little green star here, this long line to let us know that we successfully accomplished something. Uh, we have a scheduled post here on Patreon, if all goes according to plan. My page posts. Obviously, well, that's a horrible photo of me. That is just wrong. Okay, so why aren't we able to see scheduled posts? Manage posts. Scheduled. Yes. So we still have our sample art from The Alchemist scheduled here. For those of you just playing along at home or just joining us while playing along at home, the concept art for a mini comic inside of our zine, as well as the like interior design, is being collaborated with a designer, graphic artist named Dylan Keegan. And so I've worked together with Dylan to accumulate a series of still images that we'll be scheduling for content. And then we will be scheduling our upcoming live streams for further announcements. And then we're still waiting on time lapses. So those are supposed to be on Tuesday. That I cannot schedule at this time. Oop. Sneak preview of this week's articles. So last week we covered that. If you want to check it out, you can go to the video. I won't lead you down that dark path again, just so we don't get too repetitious in you watching things that are the same from last week. I would like to talk a little bit about strategies for gaining subscribers in terms of what our mission is to try to have 500 subscribers by the time that we launch our magazine into print in October. And the strategy that we use for gaining subscribers, is that different from the method that we use to gain readers to the website? The word of mouth methodology is still extremely successful. In a recent live Q&A that we conducted with Link Bradham, Link was completely responsible for the sale of 120 tickets to a private Q&A around the launch of his debut album called Learning. And there's uh, I think that our first objective as a publication was to create consistency, which is also what this is about. Even before making a big to do about, hey, we're on these platforms and we're doing these things, I think it's really important to go through the growing pains of scheduling what these talks are going to be about. I think it's healthy to go through the growing pains of learning the platform. The Restream is the platform that we're using for these simultaneous broadcasts to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and that's a new thing. In the interview with Kanzi tonight, they were very impressed with the overall stream quality, the ability for it to even just like feature and premiere their music video in terms of this like overlay structure. And those are things that come from experimentation, which is a big part of alchemy. The old adage, if you will, of learning 100 ways not to do something. I think it's important that you activate whatever strategies that you have in order to develop your own content, but that no matter what we read about, this notion of word of mouth. So, uh, whether I want to gain subscribers to the magazine, whether I want to gain additional readers to our website, whether I want to sell, my next single, whether, I mean, I guess the list goes on, but the word of mouth methodology is still going to be the success. So there's content surrounding us all the time. We're bombarded by it, is the word that's used. Maybe that's a fair assessment. There certainly is a lot of it, and to in order for what you do to be special, unique, or different, and for that to like cut through the mix, again, I think you have to create consistency first. You have to show that you're committed to the platform. You have to show that you're interested in investing in learning, investing in the growth, sharing in the resources. If you want to gain additional subscribers on YouTube, then you have to actively engage in YouTube on that platform. We grow maybe 5 or 6 subscribers on our YouTube site every week. We grow maybe 5 or 6 new subscribers to our mailing list every week. And we could certainly talk about, oh, I wish the numbers were bigger, or oh, I want more. Well, that's not my goal. It's like a drop in the bucket compared to the overall objective of, say, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. But we got here from 0 to 160, and these some of these accounts existed for a very long time. I've joked I've been on Reddit for 8 years. I just started using it. Uh, the There's a difference between like having an account and actively engaging people inside of the platform. Taking in some notes here. Let's see. So, are the strategies different? The strategies begin with that word of mouth. Let's see if I back through the strategies. Word of mouth. So, realistically speaking, this is going to be texting, calling, emailing. All of these things, and a lot, like we could have bots for calls, we could have an automated system for texting, emailing. Maybe if we wanted to get into specifics, we could say Facebook Messenger. We also could look at advertising. We do have an ad which I'm running, and I'd be happy to share the results of. Let's see, advertising. We're talking choosing which platforms you want to advertise on, which goes back to knowing your audience. and engaging them where they already are. Um, I might go ahead and go into LinkedIn Messenger because that's been a concept of it. Social media, it's hard to say. I mean, different social media platforms seem to do really well, and even things I've heard people talk about giving legal advice on TikTok, and those videos coming back with a lot of hits, being successful, as it were, in terms of metrics of views. So, but most people are not just looking to create content; they are looking for engagement. They're also looking for conversion. So, when we talk about what our objectives are in creating content on any platform in order to create conversions to our, I would say, art, product, service, process, the sale. So whether you're trying to get somebody to, become one of your top level Twitch subscribers, or if you're trying to get people to buy your latest single, then it all leads to a matter of conversions. And so the only success in terms of I guess you could say audience building is like, are we reaching the audience that we want to reach? And then there's just the total like purist in me. Uh there's the total purist in me that wants to, remind everybody that it's supposed to be like a holistic approach. Are we reaching our desired audience? And then what audience already, or what audience is us, our products, services, art? Knowing your audience and engaging them where they already are. Well, how do we determine where they already are? Well, a lot of that is, again, maybe trial and demand. You can, or sorry, trial and error. If you're looking at terms of social media, you might say, okay, well, we have to do something on a social media platform for 30, 60, 90 days in order to be able to actually like gain whether there's an audience there. So testing platforms, 30, 60, 90 day 60, 90 day metrics, and those automatically then should also give you some insights. Now maybe you're making a comparison and you can find your average metrics between all of your various platforms. So if you have some audience on YouTube, some audience on Instagram, some audience on Facebook, you can combine those that data together to get an overall view, and that would clue you into demographics, locations, and depending on the platform, various amounts of personal data, which you can use to make your decisions. And all of these things are changing. Most people in America are still pretty willing to give their social media platforms a lot of flexibility in terms of the data that they collect, but that may change over time. Uh, that may change over time and continue to change over time. And that's just and that brings me back to some of the previous conversations we've had where there's a lot of strategies about how to do things, but the important thing is to learn how to be able to tailor information in a way that's relevant to you. There's a couple of videos on our YouTube channel now that talk about creating a schedule for yourself, creating a financial like income and loss sheet to try to balance it out. There's no right or wrong answer here, and your rate of growth is going to be, maybe based on how much time you can commit to developing your art or your content, your product, your service, or how much money you have going in, how many team members you have available, whether or not you intend on it being a nonprofit, or a for-profit entity. I mean, the list goes on and on of the variables that could come into play, and and so it's really more important to start learning how to organize content in a way that you can interpret it so you can create continuity, and also to share with any team members or collaborators, maybe independent contractors, people that you hire to accomplish stuff, people you find on Fiverr. You know, you're going to have to start sharing some of the raw components that go into it. Even insofar as today, having this little drawing here, which will become our drawing for our Patreon folks for next week. So let's see. Download, download. Do I click it once, twice, three times? There we are. Okay. So here, this is scheduled for August 4th. And then our next one would be for August 11th. So we'll make a little note that we have an action item. So we've downloaded, needs to be scheduled. Timelap needs to be uploaded to shared folder. Preview of this week's articles needs to be written, scheduled. So again, you can see my objective is to try to look at color coding. These are things that help me try to stay up to speed. So that will be scheduled. So one of the things that I wanted to go over with anyone watching tonight or later on in this video is about some of the efforts that I've been spending in relationship to search engine optimization or SEO. So I thought I'd share a little bit about what that means for how we have to categorize content on the website. And I thought I'd show you a little bit of the behind the scenes there. So SEO comes into play because, obviously people are searching for things all the time. And search engine optimization is the method to make sure that each individual piece of content that we are creating has the right keywords to reach the audience that might be searching for them. Again, knowing where would your audience go. So in this case, we're creating the content, and now we have to tell the search engines that this is the kind of content that we have incorporated into this particular piece. So one of the things that I like to do is start with a foundation. We've got some tags here that are kind of some standard tags. So we'll drop those in. This is for the live stream that I did with Kanzi earlier. So the article is already live, but we're toying around with a few of the components. So one of the things is perhaps to swap back and forth here between the article itself, and try to provide a few details about the band that will aid in the search, because I've already done the broad strokes for the alchemical records. So we can talk about the band, we can talk about the fact that it's a live stream or a video. It is the first thing I usually start with is the band, usually where they're from, music, artists from Austin, because people aren't looking for just the word Austin and expecting music results. So, and music Austin is very vague. Austin music, I mean, it's perhaps more grammatically correct, but music artist from Austin is the one that helps if you're looking to know who from Austin as a musician would be the right fit. You can also say music artists from Texas. I could go back through the call and, the band revealed the kind of the origins of where the individual members were from, so I could theoretically go in and include that into the information that I put in these tags. I want to put the title of the song or the video, and then we're gonna make a note that it's a music video. I put that into my watch category, so I put a watch tag. We did it as a YouTube, Twitch, um, Facebook, Facebook Live, live stream, live stream. We've already done like music as a word, and now by doing live stream as a word, it should have the ability to connect them together. It's not quite as strong as if we were doing something like music live stream, or if people were very specifically searching for music live stream, then we'd want to use that particular keyword. Interviews. I see a QA sometimes, but I guess that's not necessarily right. It is a premiere. It is a world premiere. The music video features fortune teller, hot tub. There's a concert, rock band. Um, I guess it looks like it's appearing at a carnival. Um, Maybe meet and greet. Singer, songwriter, vocalist. Let's see if I can pull names here. I'm just gonna cut out. We're gonna trim these out. So then, if somebody searches for these band members, then there's a chance of them popping up as well. So I suppose, you can go really deep down this rabbit hole. You could do things like drummers from Austin, and there may be a call for some of that, but it is going down a really just a long road of infinite keywords and a limited amount of time in the day, and so focusing on what makes the most sense for you. I'm going to put tracks of the track titles that we've also featured earlier. Free Your Mind. KTX. Okay. So we've got some name dropping here for folks that were included in the production in some way. No, this is not necessarily like the exciting like components of it, of writing rock and roll articles and conducting fancy interviews, but it is again how the sausage gets made. So we'll drop these in, clean it up. You're wondering what that little smiley face is there. That little smiley face is kind of some of my automatic spell and grammar checking. I find it to be very helpful. Um, Grammarly. Grammarly keeps me straight. I haven't updated to the Pro yet, but I have really enjoyed using their complimentary version, and I cannot imagine any reason why I would not enjoy working with their Pro version. Okay. So it's not so much like going to be everything being searched here, but I think that if people put some of these pieces together, they will end up here. Oop, boop, doop. I see something I've missed. Good thing we're going to be working on it. Okay, so let's fix that first. This is going to go on fixed. So in addition to the tags, there's as you can see, there's these integrated SEO scores, readability, and obviously I don't set the parameters for those. But some of the readability I am frustrated with because I feel like uh, we're writing about something a little different. They're asking us for like more first person writing, for example, in order to improve the supposed readability of the article. But I don't know. We're writing it, from the perspective of people experiencing the art and the music and the culture that's kind of presented with the artists that we're working with, and so it doesn't necessarily call for a lot of first person perspective. The only way that we can do that is through direct quotes or by making it very personal about our direct connection instead of objectively about the artist and the music that we're writing about. Well, that didn't look right. If we look over here, it was telling me we were orange and red. Now I go in and it says we're green. So Yoast SEO is built in to a certain degree to our platform here. We can see that not all the words from your key phrase appear in the SEO title. Well, I'm pretty sure that it does. Pretty sure that it does. Previously used key phrase. Do not use your key phrase more than once. Kanzi. The ether. Maybe that will improve that. More key phrases. The focus key phrase was found 2 times. That's less than the recommended of 3 times. Not all of your key phrase appear in the ether. That also seems wrong. So thankfully, there's like a couple of little articles, but sometimes it feels like things aren't completely integrating or communicating with one another. Maybe it's the way that Yoast is connecting with WordPress or connecting with our theme. Um, let's see, key phrase and subheadings. If you look, these are our subheadings here. So, and Clyde. So maybe it would be asking for maybe we try adding another heading here. Sure, there are people that are terrified of me making live changes to the site. So a couple things that I'll have to adjust as I refresh it. Conzi. Subheading. Use it more. Okay, well, I used it some, so that's got to be good, right? The focus key phrase was found 2 times. So in the ether. Here's more than that, right? Conzi ether. It seems like that's a pretty good. How many times would you want to have something repeated to you over and over again? All right. Not all the words. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. I got a green smiley face up there. I got a couple of red items here. Consider problems. Looks like this is probably just a connection issue. It says it's not doesn't appear in the title, but it does. So now let's check out this readability. It says it likes it. Here's the sentence length. 48% of the sentences contain more than 20 words. So it says sentences are wordy. I think, again, that's partly because of the kind of content. If we're trying to credit these people, I mean, we could type it up. Charles Godfrey of Scary American Studios. Uh, period. Uh, he was responsible for being the mixing engineer with Third Eye Blind, Portugal the Man. Yeah, yes. Like we could write it out that way. I'm not anti that. It does seem like a waste of perfectly good space. Everybody's time is important, and it seems funky that they'd want us to just drag out the article for the sake of dragging it out. Anywho, so that is a bit of a dive into the search engine background of putting up the site and following up on the content and the way that content is received and interpreted by the algorithms. So uh, whether you're looking to release an album or to put up a music news and entertainment platform, you will be fighting with algorithms. It is a fact of life. I think, again, just referring back to Jesse Cannon, the algorithm is okay. Like, I get it. I'm okay playing according to the algorithm, as long as it's a game that's worth playing. And if I like the platforms, the uh, streaming war is still in effect, but Spotify has 80% of the market. So if you're a musician trying to get music out there, then Spotify's still the best platform to be involved in. And then I think that having other favorites or other reasons why you want to build community in some of the other platforms, whether that's Amazon or Apple or whatever, that or Deezer, Napster, which still exists and I think pays the most for each individual stream for artists. We've talked about SEO. We talked a little bit about word of mouth outreach, advertising. I'd be curious to know if you think that there's other kinds of word of mouth besides texting, calling, or emailing, or some variation of that, like Messenger. There's folks that used to go and plaster signs up on the sides of buildings, street lamps, telephone poles, and that used to be effective. They used to be effective to get people in the door, and you also meet people on the street and you hand stuff out. So um, there's going to be conventions, or I'd say like appearances, maybe festivals, any chance to really like go and hand out and meet people, engage people. Might be things like setting up a booth or a table at various events. I think I have probably exhausted that out. One final thing, I suppose tonight before I wrap, I had talked about doing polling as an important part of our outreach. And we had discovered that Patreon and LinkedIn both had some limitations for polls. I put our first poll on our Alchemical Records LinkedIn profile, and I want to duplicate it here on Patreon as something of a test. So let me see if I can share this with you. Being an artist is about being your authentic self as much as producing great art. In what ways do you connect with artists besides art? So that's the question. I don't know. Connecting. How do you connect with artists? So the first option was similar music and interests, and I'm just going to duplicate it because I want to see if there were some limitations to how long my responses could be. I want to say like 35 characters or something like that. Reason to include that. Okay. So the 4 responses that I was able to provide, and I don't think I was able to provide more with LinkedIn. I could be mistaken, but similar music, media interests, similar values, goals, outlook, fans of the same sport or team, the artist's location, and then I guess I'd put this as alchemical online for now. Maybe something like polling or asking questions or engaging, or maybe looking for feedback. Don't need this to be for patrons only, so we'll go ahead and plan on publishing this on, what did we say, Friday the 5th. So now I can say that that was done. Doesn't need to be quite so late. Let's do it. And let's see, we could upload attachments, but let's just try scheduling it and see what happens. Okay, we are all set. And with that, I think that it's an excellent time to wrap up this week's developing content from scratch. Again, a lot of my efforts here are to just share a little bit of insight into the very varying degrees and processes that I go through in order to try to like lift up the musicians and the songs that we share on Alchemical Records as a platform. It's meant to kind of show a little bit of our process and our progress in terms of reaching for the release of our in-print magazine. and it's meant to inspire conversations about what it is that you're struggling with. I am just as happy to spend this time learning about some of your processes, learning about what problems you're running into, uh, wondering what kinds of applications you're using, or you've thought about using but you haven't tried yet. I may have some experience in a few of them, and anything I don't have experience in, I'm excited enough to learn that I might create an account and just dive in and see what it looks like. Next week, I will have done a lot of the updates that we've talked about in tonight's session. So I'll have to revisit the agenda and see what the next plan is. I hope that you enjoyed diving a little bit into SEO and a little bit into some gaining audience strategies, and look forward to another exciting episode with you next week. I'll be announcing some live streams with some new shows soon, and we'll be doing our Lead into Gold broadcast. I want to say in 2 weeks. I think that'll be the 16th. So tune in to alchemicalrecords.com for more. Join the mailing list. If you hit reply, I'm the one that gets those. So send your questions, send me your feedback. Let us know how we can be more involved in the art that you're creating and spreading the message to the community. Happy Wednesday.